Hi, good evening. Welcome to Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. A few days to the elections, mine workers say they are appalled by increasing cases of corruption in governance. We hear their concern. Also tonight, World Bank and IMF set to review Ghana's classification as high risk of debt distressed country by middle of next year. And as more people turn online to shop this festive season, we'll tell you how an IT professional is making life easier for meat shoppers on today's episode of the Joy Business Van. Thanks for being with us. We've got details right after this. We are 5 days away from elections, and already allegations of corruption have dominated the airwaves. This is of grave concern to mine workers who fear the menaces having an overall impact on the national purse and affecting the very livelihood of Ghanaian workers. Let's hear from the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumek Bana, who has been speaking at the just ended second half National Executive Council meeting of the union here in Accra.
Critical area that trade unions in Ghana, including the Ghana Mine Workers Union, continue to shy away from is a lackluster attitude towards the fight against corruption and corruption-related offenses. In fact, given the spate of corruption and aborted corruption scandals since the Fourth Republic and the notoriety it has gained in recent years, and the debilitating impact on the Ghanaian society and by extension the continent of Africa, reinforces the urgent need to confront this deadly cancer head-on. The African Union estimates that 25% of the gross domestic product or GDP of African states, or some 148 billion US dollars, is lost to corruption every year on the continent. $1 billion US dollars is a lot of money. And so if you have close to about 150 billion US dollars lost to corruption on the African continent every year, it's a gory situation. In Ghana, according to Imani, Ghana loses more than 3 billion US dollars to corruption every year. Given the spate of corruption and corruption-related offenses during this Fourth Republic, most of which you are aware of, and it's not my intention to bore you, because I can give you an endless list of corruption and corruption scandals. You already know what they are. Rather, drawing from Imani's conservative estimate, therefore, one can say observably that Ghana has lost over 90 billion US dollars to corruption with impunity, unfortunately, since the Fourth Republic, with the governance of the state alternating between the two major political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party. Interestingly, both parties are up again for elections in the next couple of days. And it is obvious from the trends so far that one of the two would emerge winner in the general election come December 7, 2020, unless a miracle happens. Bracha, this means that the lesser of the two evils is likely to win. And therefore, the vicious cycle of corruption continues unabated.
Corruption, a decisive factor in the upcoming elections. Let's turn to other news tonight. Ghana will be up for assessment by the middle of next year over its ability to repay debts on time. Now, this will be jointly carried out by the World Bank and IMF. But looking at the country's rising debt levels, will the country finally fall into the debt distress status? Well, George Affair has been looking into that.
This assessment is usually done by the IMF and the World Bank to establish the ability of a member country to pay back its debt on time. Call it a stress test. The exercise will look at Ghana's ability to meet its debt obligations when it's hit by some challenge that may affect its revenue generation. The debt sustainability analysis has become very important following the transmission from a developing country to a lower middle income status. This should mean that there should be a difference of assessment that is moving away from the debt-GDP ratio crossing the 70% mark to other variables. Ghana's total debt stock ending September this year stands at 273.8 billion Ghana cedis, representing about 71% of the total value of the economy. This makes the country a high risk of debt distress. Now, the country's rising debt stock, there are fears that we could soon flip into the debt distress status soon. However, the World Bank Country Director, Pierre Laporte, has told Joy Business that from his personal assessment, he doesn't think that Ghana will flip into this status, even though the team at the World Bank and the IMF may have the final say on this.
There are risks, but I don't think so, personally. Why? Because on the one hand, again, if you look at the structure of your debt, a large proportion of Ghana's debt is to multilaterals like World Bank, IMF, the bilaterals, and these are generally long-term debt.
Government, on the other hand, has argued that despite the spike in the debt stock, which was related to COVID-19 expenditure and the banking sector cleanup, it is however optimistic that with some programs it is implementing, as well as the expansion of the economy, this will help improve the situation before the middle of next year, when the IMF and the World Bank will carry out their own scrutiny and assessment on their ability to pay back their debts on time.
Fuel prices are expected to experience a sharp increase in the first pricing window of this month. That's according to the Institute of Energy Security forecast. This is due to the 11.5% increase in prices of Brent crude, corresponding in the increase in prices of gasoline and gas oil despite the relative stability of the local currency. Here's Fritz Moses, who is research analyst at the Institute.
Assessment is usually done by
For the period under review, the national average price for petroleum products stood at 4.61 Ghana cedis per litre at the pump. The period also saw an 11.5% increase in the price of the international benchmark Brent crude, following its rise from the previous window's average price of $40.54 per barrel mark to the current average price of $45.49 per barrel mark. This increase has been as a result of the several successful announcements made within the period in connection to the COVID-19 vaccine trials. The cedi per hour analysis maintained its stability against the US dollar over the period. As monitored on the S&P Platts global platform, gasoline prices, which is petrol, increased by 6.94%. Due to the increment in these commodities on the international market, the Institute for Energy Security (IES) predicts that finished petroleum products at the pump will see an increment as we draw closer to the end of the year.
Research analyst at the Institute of Energy Security, Fritz Moses, there. Meanwhile, prices of fuel on the local market remain stable within the window under review, or the last pricing window, that is November 16. Let's move away from fuel, and the first tranche of 1.833 million cedis has been disbursed to victims of the Odona market fire. The package from the National Board for Small-Scale Industries is to support the revival of affected businesses. The disbursement ranges from 1,000 to 5,000 cedis. Now, Executive Director of the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, Kosi Yankee Aye, told Joy Business they will take care of about 1,000 victims out of the 3,000 that registered.
I think it was a very sad situation. The President actually instructed the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to provide some support within the next 2 weeks. We are in the second week, and I'm proud to say that over 625 of the beneficiaries have been paid through mobile money, after we had gone in to really assess the challenges and to align with the coronavirus alleviation program, because majority of them had applied for it. So to avoid duplication, and also to avoid duplication with Maslock, we also came and worked with them to ensure that we were not double counting and giving the right and the needed people their access. We've done a lot of sensitization, we've had a lot of conversation, and we've also collected data to allow us to be able to better serve them. And I'm very happy that, as the President had promised them, 2 weeks down the line, we've been able to support.
Meanwhile, the NBSSI has begun talks with financial institutions to develop affordable insurance and financing products for micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. The project, supported by the MasterCard Foundation Young Africa Works program, will support the sector in accessing funds from the financial sector, as well as getting enrolled on various micro insurance products. Here's Kosi Yankee Aye again.
come up with options for access to finance, products that banks can adopt and work with, or insurance companies, and as much as possible, we're interacting with the banks to give their feedback and their inputs to see if these products that we work with the consultants and the MSMEs, both on the demand and supply side, would make sense to them and how we can actually implement it. So our partnership with MasterCard Foundation would allow us to really implement and ensure that a lot of financial institutions buy into this, so we can create more opportunities for access to finance.
So what are some of the findings, if you can help us?
I think there are a lot of different findings that almost 20%, approximately 29% of people were getting their access to finance from financial institutions. That shows you that what's happening to the close to 69%. That means they are not really accessing funding through the traditional means of going to banks. So the people who are going to money lenders, there are those who are getting from friends and family. So that means if you don't have a family or a friend who can give you, then you can't do much. And I think we need to move away from that if we want to accelerate the growth of businesses and support the businesses to do well.
Also in the news tonight, more than 10,000 farmers in cocoa-growing communities are benefiting from a special initiative to support them enhance their production. The project, being spearheaded by Amenfima Rural Bank, is meant to enhance the yield of cocoa farmers to meet Ghana's ambitious annual production target of 1 million tons. CEO Dr. Alex Asma spoke to my colleague Prince Appiah at the bank's 36th annual general meeting at Wassa in the Western North region. Here is his report.
The 36th annual general meeting of the Amenfima Rural Bank was held in Wassa Kropon in the Western North region. The bank posted a 42% growth in profit after tax. Deposits increased from 189 million cedis to 254 million cedis in 2019, whilst assets increased by 36.5%. CEO Dr. Alex Asma says the trend shows confidence in the bank despite financial and pandemic challenges.
The year 2019, in spite of the difficulties coming from the banking reforms, we were still able to grow at 42% on profitability, and the bank also grew in all aspects of its business: deposit mobilization, total asset investment, everything pointed to the positive. And
Ghana's annual cocoa production target of 1 million tons have been missed for over 5 years now. As part of initiatives to support farmers to enhance their production, Amenfima Rural Bank, through its special farmers loan program, has invested over 30 million cedis in cocoa farmers. Dr. Alex Asma again.
Largely, a lot of financial institutions think that farmers are very risky because especially a lot of the farmers are doing what they call small holder farms, and they are undocumented. But look, the farmers are the ones that are holding this economy together. Cocoa farmers in particular drive a lot of economic activities in our communities where we operate. So Amenfima Rural Bank last year invested quite a lot in the farmers, that we are able to bring the farmers together in cooperatives, in small groups, and then we educate and train them financially, and we're able to give money to them. 10,000 individual farmers benefited from this project. 32 million Ghana cedis were given out to these farmers as loans that we give them a long moratorium, up to some are up to 6 months, some are up to 7 months, for them to work on their farms until their produce are out before they start paying them.
Meanwhile, about 2.3 million cedis was invested in CSR projects, which includes supporting the construction of a Dadeso Chips compound and a laundry facility at the Wassa Government Hospital. Managing Director for ARB Apex Bank, Kujomata, has therefore implored communities in bank operating areas.
So I want to encourage our customers to continue doing business with us, continue doing business with a rural bank in your community, because when we make profits, the profits are reinvested in the communities in which we operate.
Board Chairman Dr. Tony Orben says The growth of the bank was supported by aggressive deposit mobilization strategy, Prince Apia reporting.
You're watching Business Live. If you're a meat lover, I've got a story that would interest you right after this break. Welcome back to Business Live. It's December. No, we are not going to talk about the elections. We are going to talk about the festive season that is already here. And that means a lot of shopping. But as the COVID-19 pandemic lingers, a lot more people are going to be shopping online. So IT professional Kwame Kusi Jr. is making life easier for meat shoppers by creating an online platform for meat products. The Joy Business van heads to the Meat King Limited today with just 23 days to Christmas. Over the past 15 years, Kwame Kusi Jr. has worked in the IT field, mostly with small businesses, offering systems to enhance the operations. He's had in his line of work the opportunity to interact with farmers, and his observations triggered an idea for business.
One of the things that occurred to me while working with this group of people is that I discovered that there is a disparity between the work they do and the availability of a ready market for their produce. And so I discovered that I had the skills to be able to bring their products to the market and to give farmers in our rural communities a better life. And that is how Meat King was born.
Yep, Meat King was born 3 years ago, a business that was supposed to be an additional source of income for Kwame. He started with processing and packaging of pork.
Some of the greatest concerns when it comes to pork consumption lie or bother on religion, and then the notion that pigs are dirty animals. But research shows that pigs are not dirty animals. They are just heavily dependent on water, and as long as you cannot provide the water, then they go foraging for it. The skills particularly I had was to be able to take these pieces of information, communicate it to the public, and then also to bring the product in an environment where it is appealing to walk in and buy, and then also to present packaging that puts the meals or the food we're selling or the meat we're selling on a certain pedestal, make it competitive even as comparable to what is available on the international markets.
That definitely would be the game changer in an already saturated market.
So the very first place we invested money in was understanding the market, understanding what the farmers' challenges are, why are their products not ending up on the market. That was where to start from. And then we discovered that we needed to make investment in additional technology, a nice shop front, refrigeration equipment, processing equipment, packaging equipment, and that's a lot of money. It's taking us some time, but we didn't start big. We started small with just one fridge in some part of my house. And the business picked up. We noticed that there is a demand for it. So with the profits we made and with a little investment we had from our other businesses, we were able to come up with what we currently have for our shop front. And not just the shop front, we're also in a line of technology. You're able to buy online from the meatking.com, which I think is one of the most revolutionary ways we're trying to sell meat.
He's referring to the meatking.com, the platform which is proving very useful during this time of a global health crisis and as more people turn online to shop.
We're thinking that going forward, a lot more people will be going there. It's so easy to order from our website. You can pay with your mobile money, either it's MTN, it's Airtel, it's Vodafone. You can pay with your Ghana issued Visa card, your MasterCard. And the most amazing thing is, if you were to buy online from us, which is themeatking.com, you get to pay only 10 cedi flat rate delivery within Accra, irrespective of where you're located. So these are ways we're trying to drive people online. And then also, in the wake of the COVID-19 outbreak and, policies on social distancing and all, we're encouraging more people to go online and buy. It's easier, it's more accessible, and it doesn't involve transportation.
Kwame is concerned about meat quality and hopes businesses like his can help grow the local meat industry and cut down on imports.
The challenges lie in, for instance, preserving meat quality between transporting it from the farm to the shop. And you know that there are cold chain systems that you ought not to break, so as to preserve the quality of the meat by the time it arrives in the shop. That is one of the challenges. However, because we have had experience working over time, we have found ways to deal with this. The other challenges are also that Ghanaian farmers don't really get the support they need to construct farms on major scales. And so you would find, say, 3 or 4 farmers in the community who between them have just about 5 pigs. And imagine that if we have to travel from here, say 3 hours into the eastern region to just pick up 5 pigs, that would be a lot of costs in terms of transportation and the ore and the other resources that come to play. And so these are some of the challenges. However, we believe that by empowering our farmers with modern farming systems and technologies, access to affordable feed and support systems for veterinary and the rest, they will be able to increase their capacity, which would help solve some of our own challenges.
In 2018, Ghana spent about $150 million on meat imports.
If Meat Cane can lay claim to just 0.1% of that market, you can tell me that is a lot of optimism, and that is what we work with. I wake up every morning and I look at the board in my office and I see that figure, $168 million worth of raw meat imported into Ghana, and I am thinking we could solve this problem. I believe that if we get the support we need, if we get people buying from us, we can empower our farmers, we can actually work at import substitution. I mean, just imagine if you have farmers in Ghana, and yet this is how much we spend importing raw meat, which can be produced locally. Meat Cane, with all the optimism and with the access to the data we have, we believe sincerely that this is a market that we will succeed in.
Meat Cane Limited is working to increase its presence in Accra, where it currently operates from. And what was supposed to be an additional source of income, a small business started from Kwame's home, is turning out to be very big. Cool, right? I mean, you can just be at home and order for your meat product. You don't have to join long queues, and you save yourself catching a virus. Well, and you'd also need money to buy the meat. So let's take you to our Money Lab tonight. Executive Director of Financial Literacy for Africa, Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, has our money tip tonight.
On Money Lab today, we want to take another look at products that fall in the medium-term duration for your investment decision. Yesterday, we looked at shares, its advantages and disadvantages. Today, we want to look at mutual funds. When we say mutual funds are collective investment instruments that take contributions from so many people and gets the fund to be managed by a licensed fund manager who takes decisions on the asset classes for that investment. Every mutual fund gives you access to a professional manager, and it gives you returns on the shares or the instruments the invested funds are put into. One good thing about mutual funds is that you will have access to withdraw at any time, and you have access to make contribution into them at any time. So the next time you want to take an investment decision on a mutual fund, know that in addition to the returns you make, you have easy entry and easy exit.
My name is Darryl Kwao. This has been Business Live. We leave you with our quick take for tonight, something to do with insurance. Enjoy.
Whatever you have said, assuming me and you are at the same, you decide to go to the runabout before it off.
So do you have reinforcements coming out?
So, markets are being designed on roads.
The law that we have, currently there's something in the new insurance, but the law that we have now is restricted to private commercial buildings. Okay, so you're talking about shops, you're talking about shopping malls, you're talking about private commercial buildings. They are compelled to insure. The open market as at now are not compelled, but it is advisable for them.
I can confirm to you that the National Insurance Commission, in collaboration with industry stakeholders, are working strongly together to promote insurance penetration in Ghana. And the NIC, which is the insurance regulator, has set out to grow the insurance market from a current market value of 3.5 billion to a market size of 10 billion by 2024.